It's no secret that Uncharted 4 is one of my favourite games of recent years. I've spoken about the series a few times on the channel now, but did you know that the game originally had a very different story to the one we ended up getting? Today we're going to be talking about Uncharted 4 and the original Untold story that never came to be. A lot of the finer details I'm about to go through were revealed from the recently released book Blood, Sweat and Pixels, but we've heard a lot about the troubled development and story changes way before its delayed May 2016 release. It goes without saying, but I will be delving into some plot points of the game, so if you don't want any spoilers, you might want to click away. Originally, Uncharted 4 began development under Amy Hennig, who also worked on the previous titles along with a small team. Hennig wanted to introduce a long-lost brother to Nathan Drake, a brother that was locked in a Panamanian prison for 15 years and thought to be dead, which of course sounds identical to the version of the game we got, except for one major difference. Sam was intended to be one of the main antagonists of the game, hating Nate for leaving him to rot there and wanting revenge. We can see this in the original concept trailer that was released by PlayStation in late of 2013, complete with a different voice actor instead of Troy Baker that paints a very different Sam to the one we know.
I lost 15 years, buried alive, erased. You left me, rotting in that hellhole and never looked back. But you can't outrun the past. And when it catches up, when all your lies collapse around you, I'll be there, sifting through the wreckage.
Even though both Nate and Sam would know, it wouldn't be immediately clear to the player that the two were brothers until later on in the game that would serve as one of the major plot twists. Eventually they would end up on good terms, joining together to take on the main true villain, Rafe, who of course was also the main villain in the final build of the game, so it seems that Sam would only be a villain for some of the events. When it comes to the gameplay, Amy Hennig had ideas of adding a grappling hook, vehicles, but most surprisingly having Nate go 50% of the game without a gun, which I'm very glad wasn't the case. This idea was apparently conceived due to there being a disconnect between Drake being a relatable, caring guy, but also killing hundreds during the course of each game, and therefore wanted to reduce that. In addition, they prototyped a sliding mechanic and a way for Drake to make his own handholds by shooting a cliff face. A rhythm-based section was also described where Elena and Nate would be dancing to your button presses in a ballroom scene to try and take an artifact. Sadly, at the beginning of 2014, after 8 months of work, Amy Hennig decided to leave Naughty Dog, along with creative partner Justin Richmond, who left shortly after. It's not exactly clear why she left, but there were many reports there were disagreements with Hennig and the direction she was taking the game, and many felt she had trouble making decisions. Around the time of her leaving, Neil Druckmann and Bruce Straley had just finished working on the Left Behind expansion to The Last of Us and were asked to lead the development on Uncharted 4. Despite feeling burned out and wanted to pursue other projects, one of them being The Last of Us 2, they agreed to do it, but only if they were given full creative control, as they didn't want to finish off the story that Amy Hennig began. However, they did incorporate many elements she put in place. Nate's brother Sam still made it into the game despite an altered role, as did Rafe. Certain environments like Scotland and Madagascar were also brought over. Much of the voice work, cutscenes and animation was completely redone from scratch, throwing away a lot of the work that had been done for the last 8 months. They also decided to recast the voice actors for Sam, giving it to Troy Baker, who was also Joel in their previous game The Last of Us, and also Rafe, giving it to Warren Cole, who'd previously hadn't done any voice work for a video game, replacing Alan Tudyk. Although before Druckmann and Straley took over, there were talks of Uncharted 4 being Nate's last game, they were the ones to solidify this and make the story the closing of his adventures. A decision I feel was best. I'd much rather a good finale to a character than drag them out to the point they get stale and I no longer care. While I think Uncharted 4 turned out incredible, as did the majority with a Metacritic of 93%, and I certainly wouldn't change the story, I'm still interested to see the full vision that Amy Hennig had, a seemingly much darker story than the one we got. So are you happy with how it turned out, or do you wish the original ideas were kept? I know some felt it took too many cues from The Last of Us, although that was something I personally really liked. Either way, let me know down in the comments. That's it for today. I hope you liked the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and sub, and follow Project Gamer on Twitter for channel updates. Click the thumbnail on the left for a video on the history of Uncharted, and the one on the right for whether you should play The Lost Legacy or not. Thanks for watching as usual, and I'll see you on the next video.